Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 6th episode of Scion of the Dark House, a Dungeons & Dragons 5e Gothic horror podcast. That does mean that there are some unsettling elements that may or may not be happening, such as blood, gore, violence, child endangerment, creepy images, and other things of that nature. I've made sure to get all of the players' lines and veils to make sure that they are safe. So make sure you are safe as well. If you need to take a break or step away, please do so. Your support means just as much as your mental health. So please take care of yourselves. So on the previous very eventful episode, after an interesting morning of involving puke and hay in shoes, you all took a horse cart out of Gallows and identified the items that the hags gave you. Most of it was interesting. Some of it was underwhelming. Stone of skipping. Only two at some point come across mangled bodies in the road. You followed some clues, did some forensics, and then followed a trail to find the assassination target of Arthur, one of the assassination targets, who apparently was taking a concoction of some kind to prevent himself from transforming. After an intimidation and a short delay, he transformed and was immediately killed by the group, whereupon arguments over bodies happened and then fire. You all set out on the road again, where Lark asked Arthur for help finding a circle of mushrooms to commune with his old queen from back in the Feywild. Upon doing so, he was able to communicate with her, but it seems that the power that she wielded caused a bit of a leak of power into the prime material plane and caused a meanlock warren to form. But ultimately, after beating a hasty exit, Lark got his one level in Warlock, and you are all back at the cart after a brief demonstration of powers and a realization of how effed up the ecology of this place now is. We return to that exact moment.
I'm telling you, meanwhile, are the least people of this have to worry about. You literally, like 2 days ago, we found a child strangled to death by roving swarms of detached hands.
Well,
I
all
feel
I'm
like
saying
this
is
is
we're not
something you
letting
could have
you anywhere
warned.
near mushrooms for the time being.
Oh, Percy, you can try to stop me, sweetheart. I have more tricks up my sleeve than you know.
You don't have sleeves.
How much longer is this ride?
He has transparent sleeves. What are you talking about?
You're not even wearing a shirt.
He just looks down at his see-through shirt and he goes, "Yeah, Percy, I don't know why you chose this exactly."
I
He does a
offered you
peck bounce, like,
perfectly nice regular shirt. I don't even know how you found transparency.
he's doing a peck bounce while he says that. He's like, "I don't know why you chose this shirt."
It looks good though.
It was my
I can't
choice.
possibly imagine.
Oh, this ride is killing me.
You got to take a nap.
Yeah, I don't regret that. I firmly stand with that decision.
Yeah, in hindsight, it was probably the wisest of the four of us.
I want to get the rock out and throw it.
Roll me 2d12.
Hell yeah.
Don't waste the rock.
It's a random event.
All right. Damn, 16.
16 times down the road before
I
coming
think
to a
that's
stop.
the most yet.
Well, great. Now we're down a rock.
Okay, it's right there. Just bend down and pick it up as we pass over it.
Fabulous.
So at this point, you guys can probably see the towering buildings of the city of Darkmoor off in the distance. You see a very familiar sight, Percy. You would see the sort of buttresses and bell towers of the Grand Cathedral, as well as the really oddly balanced Staff of Night, a large tower that goes up into the air and seems to have a castle perfectly balanced on top of it, as if by magic, but it is the Magic Academy. You begin to see signs of civilization again. Signposts, markers, off in the distance you begin to see houses and farmland and other such things. But there is a dense area of forest, quite large, that you are coming up on. This is probably the estate. You do see, as you pull up by it, on the road, a crumbling old gatehouse, a round tower with what appears to be almost a house over top of a stone gate with a portcullis. It's old, it's crumbling, but it's definitely the gatehouse of the estate. And you pass by it, watching as it drifts off into the distance, knowing that you will have to step through that gate at some point. And you trundle through farmland and little houses dotted here and there, seeing people working in the fields, until finally you get to the very edge of town, a place known as the Corpse Stacks. Half lumberyard, half training ground of the Gravediggers Guild. You definitely see a lot of people with shovels around. But in front of you looms the walls of the city, and beyond, a familiar home. What would you all like to do?
So we're coming into Darkmoor proper, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. So criminal contact from my background. I'm gonna take a minute to, let's just assume I have a CD contact here that I can get in touch with to
Yes.
get this head back to the contract holder. Obviously, carefully wrapped and, not
Yes.
head-like.
One moment. I'm trying to pull up a I'll have to try and find a way to do that. Do you have any particular idea about who this is? I do have some NPCs knocking around in my brain that I can whip out, but do you have any specific?
Let's say he's a young boy who's helping at one of the local taverns, as a cover job.
There is a tavern nearby. I have no idea what the name is. Which
Fair enough.
is
Not important as long as they have ale.
Great. If one of you has the document for Darkmoor, I think Percy
yes.
actually has the document for Darkmoor.
Meanwhile, I go, those people have a guild?
Look that up. Yes, the Gravediggers Guild is where they work.
Here we go.
There it is. Okay. Hopefully that doesn't show up on the recording. It is the Shovel and Spade. It's on the outskirts of the city. You would know that do you have a name for this boy that's working there?
Let's call him Franklin.
As the cover job, Franklin has been working at the Shovel and Spade with the proprietor of this establishment, named Svetlana Akula,
Lovely.
who is very strange. He's mentioned her before, and you can pick this place out of just about anywhere. Ah, I see a familiar has joined us.
Oh,
It's the siding is black. The building is black. It has red glass in the windows. The proprietor of the estate, of this sort of establishment, creeps out poor Franklin a lot.
That's saying something.
So I'm assuming you would take some time to go to the Shovel and Spade.
Yep. Yeah. Got to get rid of this
Percy's
stanky
probably
ass
gonna
head.
like stop you at first and be like, "Be careful in there. Svetlana has a reputation. It's a bit of a bloodsucker."
Those are colorful words. I'll take that under advisement.
So you do enter the establishment. There is a sort of weird red atmosphere in this building. The inside is just as black as the outside, and the sunlight streaming in through the panes of red glass leave red light everywhere. There's a few people in there drinking, and you see there is a sign that says, "We accept gold and blood as payment."
Beautiful.
Did you leave us outside, or did we come in with you?
That's up to you.
Oh, Lark's just like, oh god, the interior design in here.
So Percy stays outside. I think he's probably more comfortable around the grave diggers than Svetlana. Like,
I would have gone and say, should I have burnt those bodies if they accept blood?
we're not harvesting blood for pig.
I have plenty of gold. There will be no need for that. And they're taking blood as payment is by far the least important thing about this place.
So as you're in there,
Mhm.
I was going to say, you cast a quick eye around and you don't see Franklin, but you do see a woman wearing a very elaborate, very heavy black dress. Sleeves that go all the way down, gloves, a collar that goes all the way up, plenty of ruffles, plenty of sort of ribbing of a corset that she seems to have over the top of it, plenty of patterned black. She has her black hair in a French twist, and she looks up and she smiles. Her blood red lips pull back, and you do see little fangs in her mouth. Greetings.
Impressive.
How may I help you?
I'm looking for a boy who is supposed to work here. Franklin?
Oh, yes, Franklin. He is such a hard worker. And then she turns and, Franklin, there's someone here to see you. And he kind of comes out, and you see as he walks by, he's like very clearly wigged out by this woman. And he kind of approaches you and just kind of looks around, kind of twigging that you're probably here on some kind of work. And he goes, I'm probably gonna have to get back to work pretty soon, but What do you need?
Out the back, 5 minutes.
Sure. He nods, and he kind of pulls out a cloth and starts just wiping tables.
Okay. So I guess I'll go round. I'm not sure that this dealing needs to be done in front of the lovely patroness.
So you wait
Fair.
there for a moment or two, and Franklin steps out the back. And the door, interestingly, it's on a bit of a hill, and there seems to be, since there's a lot of traffic coming in and out of the back door, the ground is sunk a little bit. So there's a good foot between the door and the ground, which Franklin seems to forget about until the last second, and kind of does that thing where you go to step and you but he doesn't lose his balance. All right, what do you need?
I've got a package that needs delivered to Matthias. Would you see that it gets to him and that I get proper payment? And I kind
Certainly.
of just hand him the carefully wrapped package, being sure not to let any of the cloth flap open.
He takes it, and there's a moment where he like kind of does the thing where he weighs it, and you see the cogs turning in his head as he's like, what could be in here? And then he kind of, all right, got it.
See that it's delivered quickly.
I'll do that immediately after work. And he kind of looks around, and interestingly, there is basically a stack of caskets and coffins out the back. He looks at one of the ones that's standing up, and then the one next to it, and he pulls the lid open and kind of puts it in there and shuts it. It's behind other caskets and coffins that are all stacked up, and he darts back in.
Excellent. Well, now that's done, I suppose we can get on to business.
Arthur, what was that?
Business. Any other
Like-
questions?
I mean, I just figured, with how gung-ho you were about killing the thing with the proboscis, I thought Vampire Lady would have picked up on your radar. Not saying anything. She has a killer fashion sense. She'd go far back where I'm from, until someone ripped her apart, but that's neither here nor there. What? I'm the moral problem of the group when I accidentally spawn a meanlock Warren, but there's a woman trading blood back there.
Yeah, she's accepting it as payment. Seems to be running a business. I don't see a problem with that, at least not for the moment.
Oh. You
Well,
don't see moral absolutes quite like Percy does, I'll give you that.
Well, if you're done depositing severed heads, I think I'd like to see some of my family before I go to the manor.
Interestingly, it is at this moment that you hear a familiar voice, but you realize it's entirely inside your head. It's Alex.
Oh boy.
And you hear, hey, heard you were in town. Miss you, bud. Come by the staff and we can hang out again, just like old times. You also get the sense that you can respond to this. It's
Okay,
the
cool.
sending spell.
Sweet, awesome. So happy to hear it. My group is just entering the city. Should be there in about an hour.
It sounds so much like never mind what I'm gonna say.
Okay.
Well, the city is yours at the moment. there's definitely a lot of interesting little nooks and crannies and corners you could go to.
Yeah, so I was like, have any of you been to Darkmoor before? I mean, I know you haven't, Lark, but there's quite a lot to do here. If you, Arthur, are looking for someone to turn that disgusting severed cadaver in on your cat into a weapon, it's probably the place to find them.
I think I'd quite like that. And at some point, I'll perhaps investigate what's getting under Franklin's skin about that little business back there, but he's got a job to do for now. So,
And Lark, we are going to pay my sister a visit and get you a proper shirt.
I don't mind this one.
You should.
What's wrong with it? Do I look gauche?
I can't even claim to know the definition of gauche, so.
Well, I don't need a shirt, so I can probably go and visit the academy.
Very well. I'm pondering whether I should bother to visit my family. My sister, as it is, might be a stretch enough, but you'd all be welcome to come to the upper city with me if you wish. That's where the academy is, if you want to come.
Ooh. An academy of magical artifacts sounds quite fascinating.
I suppose I may be able to find someone up there to turn this mess into something useful. So, why not?
I would be quite curious who in the upper city would be interested in such a task, but craftsmanship would probably be higher if you chose to do your business there.
Just looking at the document.
Oh, could any of you? I've only been here a short while. How long do lunar phases take on this plane again?
About 30 days, a month.
Okay. All right. Good to know.
Can I make an insight check on that?
Sure.
Okay, that's gonna be an unnatural 20.
Should I roll off anything or what?
Well, I would say you definitely get the sense that there's something important that is time sensitive
Yeah.
that he's worried about. That's all you get. You're not going to get
Yeah.
any specifics unless he tells you.
For sure. Like, all right. So, shall we depart? This part of town always is a little bit depressing.
It is basically muddy fields and shacks, as well as lots and lots of people digging holes, putting things in those holes, taking them out, talking, and then refilling them. They're basically training the grave diggers.
I mean,
Wow.
this seems to track the course of the rest of this country that I've visited so far. Mud, death, and gothic people hanging around.
Yeah, well, it always made me a little sad to have to confront the failures of the healing church, those who we could not help.
How tragic.
All right.
I will say, Percy, you would know that perhaps if you wanted to get odd things made into odd things, the best place to go would probably be somewhere on the high street known as the Copper Cauldron. It's known for being one of the various magic shops on the high street.
Okay. So I'll definitely actually the high street may have exactly what you're looking for, Arthur. The Copper Cauldron, I believe it's called. Magical knickknacks of all sorts. They could probably figure something out.
Sounds promising. So, I mean, I'm gonna head there.
Very well. Sounds like we're all headed into the inner city then. Let's go.
So as you move through the city, The outer city is kind of sad. The outermost part of the city seems to have a mine, a big hole in the side of a mountain that rises up next to the city, forming the valley. There is a black dust that seems to roll across occasionally. Lots of people covered in soot. And
Percy puts on his plague doctor mask when he goes through this
yeah,
part.
definitely a place that you would be told you probably should. It is called the Black Lung for a reason. It is also a shanty town. The road is not formed with cobbles. It's formed by laying wooden planks down next to each other, and they kind of sink into the mud. It's just shanty towns, shacks on stilts. But as you get closer, they start turning into actual houses, a bit run down, closely crammed together. But it definitely starts to get nicer and nicer until you hit a point where there is very obviously a sort of wall and several staircases that run up the side of it and through it in tunnels. And it's night and day. You walk into the inner city. It is nice, lovely flagstones, beautifully kept little green spaces, flower boxes in the windowsills, very lovely, nice houses. And people are also dressed very different. They're not wearing aprons and helmets and rags and all that other stuff. They're actually wearing fashionable clothing, vests, top hats, gloves. They're walking with canes. It is night and day. And you walk along these sorts of neighborhoods until you get to what is so obviously the high street. There are big windows with all kinds of things in them, dresses, jewelry, books, furniture, fine craftsmanship. You also see a place called the Wizard's Top Hat that literally has a top hat built into it, and many colored lights flashing as cauldrons and flasks and all kinds of other things seem to just burst, giving smoke and sparks and bubbles. It is excitement as people are walking around, window shopping, going into shops and out of shops. And it's pretty easy to find the Copper Cauldron. It actually has a statuette of a dragon sitting over the entrance with its claw out, and the sign hangs off of the extended claw. Do you think you've ever been inside the Copper Cauldron, or you've just heard of it?
I don't think Percy would have really taken much of an interest in the Copper Cauldron. Maybe once or twice, but he never probably bought anything.
So you all head in, opening the door, and a bell kind of ding, 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 ding. It is very obviously magical in here. You don't even need to cast Detect Magic to know that this is magic. The pedestals have arcane sigils and symbols on them, obviously to keep people from tampering with the magic of the items that are on these sorts of shelves. There are all kinds of knickknacks piled up everywhere in lovely displays, potion-making equipment, cauldrons, books, items of various types, such as armors, jewelry, capes, cloaks, other sorts of things that are all neatly arranged. It's kind of a neat mess. And surprisingly, standing amongst the people, pacing sort of back and forth, is a gold Dragonborn. in a very fine red and gold suit, standing near one of the registers, seeming to talk with a customer of some kind. They look like a student that might be new to the staff of Night, who's going in for their first year getting supplies for something. It doesn't seem very busy, but there are certainly people that have come in and out. And if you look at the price tags, they're kind of a bit expensive. A good 50, 60, 70 gold for things. There is no silver, there's no copper. It's all gold or nothing here.
I guess I'll wait for that conversation to end and then approach the shop owner, Dragonborn person?
Yes, he does sort of tower over you as he turns, as the other customer kind of goes back to shopping, and he goes, "Ah, hello. Welcome to the Copper Cauldron. What can I do for you?"
Well, perhaps just some advice. But I am looking to have something done with this. Just bear with me. And he like reaches into Jasmine's pack and very cautiously, very slowly places and unwraps the rotting vampire killer head with its proboscis sticking off onto the counter.
You see his eyes instantly dart to it, and you can almost see cogs turning in his head as he starts, thinking about things, and he gets in close and kind of pokes at it and moves it, and he goes, "Did you kill this yourself?"
Not alone. I had help, but yes.
Ah, I see you're a bit of an adventurer. Not many people manage to kill strigoi, very interesting creatures. What were you hoping to have done with this?
Well, I thought perhaps the proboscis could make a weapon of some sort. It seemed to do some pretty good damage.
He kind of lifts it up and kind of like taps along it with a claw. Well, I'm sure something could be done about it. Do you have any particular item in mind?
Well, I'm a master of both bow and blade, so either would do.
Perhaps a short sword or a lance might work. And he's continuing to inspect it. The skull, the bone being ground down into powder, the blood, and maybe bits of the hair would definitely reduce the price if you would allow me to keep them for various reagents for other projects.
Whatever you feel you need.
Wonderful. How about this? I will keep the head here. I will put it back in the back in my lab. And you come back maybe at the end of the day and we'll discuss pricing. I need to inspect it a little bit. Well, is there any other business that you would selling, buying, perhaps?
I think that's all for me. I'm a bit low on gold, unless the rest of you.
Do we want to sell some of our useless junk, or should we not even bother?
Yeah, I doubt we'll get much for any of this.
We still might get some use out of them.
I mean, the magic bean could do something fun, and I'm still trying to kill somebody with that skipping stone.
The magic bean is our emergency food supply.
Yeah.
The single bean.
It's a big bean, though.
It is a big bean, but it's
big.
not 4 people feeding size.
It's
Maybe the magic
basically a
is that when you
potato.
plant it, it grows a lot of other beans.
Yeah. The
In
It
magic
that
is a
of
size.
distinct
horticulture.
possibility.
Can I look around the shop to see if anything like catches Lark's eye?
I wonder if we can get a pot with soil in it. Put the bean in there so we can take it around.
I feel like dirt will not be hard to come by.
There's
pot,
even a
then.
flower box outside that if you really want to, you could maybe just take a handful of dirt and just take it with you for free. But yeah, you look around the shop. I'd say maybe there are a few wands, but they're all really expensive.
Percy,
Yes, Lark?
would you buy this for
No.
me?
Absolutely not. I don't know what it is, but the answer is no.
I can probably talk to the fellow golden dragonborn and do some bargaining. I don't know. Because we're the same race. Yeah.
If
Go
you'd like
for
to,
it,
you certainly
Rerek.
can.
What?
Go for it if you want to.
Honestly, I don't have anything that I need from this place. I don't know.
Oh, true. They are all really expensive magic items.
Yeah. Well, if it seems we're done here, I'd like to pop over to Fairy Godmother's.
The what now?
Not actual fairy. It's a name. It's just a name. She's a seamstress.
Just looks vaguely disturbed.
Yeah, it's not very hard to find fairy godmothers. A lot of these shops have very expensive outward advertising. Fairy godmothers, it's almost like they made it extra sort of magical, where they kind of changed the outside of the building so that it looks, there's all kinds of optical illusions, almost like the Cinderella's castle at Disney World, how there's all kinds of little things that make it look more than it is. And there's even a statue of a woman with beautiful butterfly wings holding up a wand that actually does occasionally glow a color or give off sparks or other such things. And there is a sign with a very fancy fairy godmothers. And in the window, there are the most gorgeous dresses that you could possibly imagine. These possibly straight up cost a platinum.
Oh my gosh.
They are super expensive, high quality, crushed velvet, silks, the finest of materials. And the inside is very similar. There is a sign that does say, purchases can only be made by appointment, sitting on a desk. But there is an open showroom full of absolutely wonderful dresses of all kinds of colors and hats, gloves, just shelves of shoes, high heels, boots, everything a fine, discerning lady would want in her outfit.
Just right up your alley, Lark.
I was going to say, I think Percy would look fantastic in that pink one over there.
Yes, thank you. My sister would often model them on me. Can I go up? Is there like an attendant somewhere or someone I can talk to?
Yeah, there are definitely a few attendants kind of roaming the floor.
I want to go up to one of them and say, excuse me,
It's a sort of blonde-haired girl with two braided pigtails over the front, and she turns and, yes, how may I help you?
Hi, I'm sorry to barge in, but my sister, Belladonna Kreutzwald, I was wondering if she was working today.
Oh, I think she is working in the studio. Is this urgent? Of course.
In a way, yes. I was wondering if I could steal her away for a moment.
I'll have to ask Madame Drintle if that would be possible. There's a show coming up, and all the seamstresses are working very hard to make sure that the showpieces are done.
Well, if anything can be done, thank you.
I'll see what I can do. And she kind of darts off and back to the back where there is a door that she opens, and you see a flight of stairs that goes up. And it does say studio, employees or appointments only over top of it.
Percy,
And you are
is this place?
It's a palace of utter debauchery. My sister works here.
There we go.
Yeah, her boss is a bit of a nightmare.
Who's her boss? Is this Madame Drindle?
Yes, she's the fairy godmother. Not a fairy at all. She's an elf, I believe. But she's, well, quite demanding, and I fear for my sister's health often.
Oh, no.
Hmm. Elves aren't exactly known to be trustworthy, so I don't blame you.
I just want to speak with her, but I didn't want to have to go to my house to do it, so this is the next best option.
Lark he tilts his head at Arthur's aside and he goes, huh. He never, like in his mind, Lark's just like, he really never does say anything positive about elves when he's half one.
I have my reasons.
So, but Lark's just kind of looking around this building, like, I love my pop culture references. So just imagine that scene from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where Danny DeVito is Globogian at the art show, and he's just derivative.
I've never seen that show.
I know what you're talking about. I've seen the GIFs. But yeah, this fashion probably wouldn't fly in the Feywild, especially when you have dresses that are made of butterflies, made of sunshine, made of petals, made of the night.
What?
A couple of gemstones and beads sewn on some silk, no matter how fine it is, isn't going to impress anyone.
What is this bedazzled tulle skirt not doing it for you?
It's a pity that this is all mortal craftsmanship can make.
Wow.
But it matches your shirt.
Oh, yeah. True.
What?
Lark stares at his see-through shirt, but he's just like, oh.
At this point, the attendant that you saw kind of burst through the door, and she's kind of like, oh, and she pulls the door open, and she like kind of bows a little bit, and out comes a very, very familiar woman. Stern, more stern than a mother matron of the nunnery. Hair done up high collar, train, and with a cane. Her nose seemingly always pointed at least 45 degrees straight up in the air as she looks down her nose at everything. Storms out of the door and beelines straight for you.
Oh
She
boy.
gets right up to you, and her cane that she was at the moment carrying slips down and thunk, a really powerful whack right against the floor. And she goes, I see you've come to see your sister.
Yes, that's correct. Would I be able to have a brief conversation with her?
You have 5 minutes, and then I will need to ask you to leave, or I will be getting security. I do not need distractions.
Very well. Your generosity is appreciated.
Of course it is. And she turns and walks off.
Quietly to Lark, I'm just like, and you wonder why I don't like elves.
And I'm like, what a bitch. Oh my gosh.
The attendant, of course, kind of looks at you. She's very clearly scared of Madame Drintle. And she kind of like motions while she's still holding the door to the stairs.
Yeah, I'll go in.
Are the rest of us allowed in, or we have to stay out here?
No one seems to stop you.
I'm just gonna whisper to Arthur and be like, I really need to find a ring of mushrooms in this woman's place.
I'm traumatized from the last one. Thank you.
I'm like, I'm not going in there with that lady.
No, ma'am. Jazz and I'll stay out here and, I don't know, maybe find her a nice collar.
Or I guess I'll look towards Percy and be like, do you want company, or would you rather talk to your sister alone, dear Percy?
I'll handle this by myself, I guess. You keep insulting dresses.
I'm going to stop at dress, darling.
Not when there's shoes, too. And hats.
Dear God, don't get him on to the haberdashery.
So you go back, and you've dropped in a couple of times, whether Madame Drintle knows it or not. You have had a few conversations, of course, with your sister. You know where her particular studio is. You go upstairs, and there is a main floor where a lot of the sort of the lower sort of general workers that are just there to mark fabric, cut fabric, gather up materials that the seamstresses need. It's kind of a training ground as well as just general employment. Above that, from some rickety stairs, is the studios. And in each one of them, there are no doors. There are door frames, and there were clearly places where hinges were, but those have been removed. And inside, you see seamstresses and seamsters in their studios. None of them are tidy. It looks like something just exploded. They all look tired. Their hair is all a mess. Their bow ties or frills or other things in their uniforms are askew. They have pin cushions, scissors. They're running back and forth to scraps of fabric and beads and feathers and all kinds of things, and bumping into mannequins. Their studios are quite small. And you know exactly where your sister's is. And you go and you see her hair pulled back into a bun. What does your sister look like?
The whole Kreutzwald, at least his immediate family, is all pretty tall, thin, fair features, blonde, very pale, and she definitely has like her hair's pulled back, but you can see it's starting to come like undone and frazzled. Some deep bags under her eyes.
Mm-hmm.
College
Probably
girl.
some like remnants of half-eaten meals strewn about the place she hasn't left. There's probably even like a cot underneath her work table that she'll just slide out and take a nap on at some points. So Percy kind of just like before he even knocks or anything, he kind of says like, Bella, like,
And
why are
she
you doing
is at the
yourself?
moment working her sewing machine. It's one of those really old pedal
Yeah.
worked sewing machines that are probably made out of like iron and weigh like 1,000,000,000 pounds, feeding through a sort of lace that she's sewing. And just you hear this constant squeak, 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 squeak as she's feeding this lace into it. And at first she doesn't seem to notice you until she kind of looks up and she just kind of hello, brother.
Bella, and I like come in like, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your work, but I wanted to speak with you, and well, I didn't want to do it at home where Mother could find me. So,
Did you do something again?
No, I haven't done anything again. Can't I just? How are you doing? Are you and Mother and Father well?
Well, I'm not at home a lot. Father got another rug. An Indran tiger skin rug. And another shipment of cigars and brandy.
He always just
Usual.
say that his study was too empty.
Yes, well now it's beginning to fill up.
I understand. And Mother?
Oh, she's doing well. Long days at the hospital. And she, at this moment, she kind of absent-mindedly begins to start the sewing machine back up. The pedal squeaking as she begins to feed the lace into it. That kind of knowing that at any moment Madame Drintle could just like appear and go, "You're not working."
Yeah.
And that instinct kind of kicks in.
Are you? I know we talked about this before. Are you okay? It's just this place is.
Yes, perfectly fine, perfectly fine, perfectly fine. And she's still feeding the lace through.
I came because a very harrowing journey to get here, but the manor. I received a letter about our family's estate, and it's been passed on to me.
At that moment, she stops. And it's almost like things just, it's like record scratch.
Yeah.
Even the thread in the sewing machine kind of dink snaps in the spool of thread kind of vroom, on the end as her eyes dart up. The house. That place.
Yes, that place that we were told to never go. But
you're out of your fucking mind.
Oh, I don't know. We're gonna say that. I don't know. The opportunity presented itself to me, and I had to get out of that town. That town was a nightmare, just constant death and destruction. Just these poor people I couldn't help, and it was just like here again, but worse because I was so far away from where I could actually make an impact. And I had to leave.
And at this point, she does actually like scoot the cot out and she sits down on it. And you can tell the way she sits down very heavily. She just drops. And you can tell this cot has been flattened as if she has been doing this a lot.
Yeah.
And she kind of just has that sort of stare. Mother's going to kill you. You know that, right? New?
She can't kill me twice. She can't disown me and kill me. I don't know. I guess I was hoping for a bit of support, something here, just to make me feel like I didn't completely make a stupid decision.
Well, you did.
Yeah, I don't know what else to do, Bella. My life is over. It's ruined. It was already gone. I was hoping this could be something new.
Well, it certainly is new. Who knows what's there?
Yeah.
And she kind of at this point is like head in hands, fingers on temple, just kind of, it's beyond the sort of older sister, I'm not the problem child judgment that you're used to when you make a dumb decision. This is like almost as if she gives off the air of like finding out she was the accomplice to a war crime and is going away for life or is going to be executed.
Yeah. She's like, I don't know what to do, Bella. I'm tired, and I thought this might change things.
If it makes you happy, it certainly will. Who knows if it's for the better? Who knows if it's for the worst? Probably for the worst.
Words of encouragement, as always.
Yes.
Well, I am due to our haunted mansion, so give mother and father my regards, I suppose, if it's worth anything at this point. But
and at this point she kind of stands up and she begins like fixing her hair. Well, I need to get back to work.
Right. And take care of yourself.
She just kind of nods and begins squeak, 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 feeding the lace back through. As you turn around, Madame Drintal is right there with her cane. And she actually has a chain with an hourglass on it. The sand has almost run out. And she just gives you a look of like, okay, you're done, leave.
A pleasure as always, ma'am.
Of course it is. And she turns and continues down the hallway, peeking into the studios as she does. And you, as you leave, you do see her kind of barge into her office, which is at the end, it's at the center. It has very large, beautiful double doors, and she pushes it open, and it's diametrically opposed to the various seamstresses and seamsters studios. It is clean. It has a very nice, lovely desk with a very neat stack of papers and a very neat pot of ink with quills. It's all very nicely and neatly organized, very beautiful, very clean. And you walk past all of these people that look like they're at their wits' end, scrambling with scraps, trying to cram together something.
Yeah.
The good old fairy godmother's magic at work. And you go back down and out into the showroom.
While he's up there, can Lark just look over towards Arthur and Jasmine and be like, Arthur, does Jasmine smell anything like me about this place?
Last time you asked me that, I almost got killed.
This won't almost kill you.
Oh, yeah, as if your promises hold any meaning. All right, I'll do a perception check for her, I guess. Smelly perception check.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me get my jigger. $22.
No, nothing. I mean, she smells like Madame Drintal, who's an elf, and elves have fey ancestry, but that's kind of like saying that leather smells like a farmyard full of cows.
Right. Mhm.
There's something there. There's a connection. They clearly, in some way, smell similar, but it is so far removed.
Yeah,
and it's kind of what you
nothing.
get.
Oh.
Yep. Nothing at all.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear.
Any particular reason you decided to ask this time? Oh, I don't like that chuckle.
Oh, you don't have anything to worry about, Arthur.
That's what you said last time.
Did you make it out alive or not?
Suppose.
Did I not? Well, yes. You made it out alive. And what we did will help us in the long run. That I can say for certain.
That tree did kind of get its comeuppance. I'll agree with you there.
Percy like bursts through the doors again. He's like, "All right, gentlemen, let's get out of this pastel nightmare." And just runs towards the door.
Yeah, at this point, there's kind of an attendant that's waiting by the door and just opens it. and you are back out onto the busy high street.
Yeah, so Percy will be like, we can stop at any store you all want to see, or the Academy of Midnight Arts. Probably my cousin's preparing to meet me there, so we can, whichever you all wish.
Well, I know Rerek said he'd like to go to the academy, and I've got a couple things to check on before we leave town, but they've both got time.
Right. Well, unless there's any objections, I suppose just the academy then.
Great.
Cheers.
The academy isn't that far away. It's very close. It seems to constantly loom over the entire city. This odd castle perched at the top of a thin spire.
Do we pass by St. Hypatia's on the way?
Yes, you
I spit
probably
at it.
do.
I spit at the building.
Some people give you some odd looks as you do that, especially because you have your plague mask on your person, very visible. And it's
Yeah.
kind of like it's kind of like, in a way, like seeing a senator walk out of the Capitol building, turn around and give it 2 middle fingers. Like, okay, but people don't really pay you any mind.
Yeah.
You do manage to get to the campus. And once again, there is a feeling of magic around here. It's a very heavy magic. It is, interestingly, across the street from the Grand Darkmoor University, which seems to just have a large open field where there are multiple people seemingly having a picnic or doing, regular student things, playing croquet, which seems to be a popular sport around here. But the other side of the street, with the staff of the Midnight Arts, or whatever you want to call it, it has a variety of names. There is an octagon. The campus is an octagon. The dorms around the outside seem to represent the 8 schools of magic, with the pathways specifically made in some sort of sigil, where at the center is the spire that rises into the air, and the castle full of towers and flying buttresses that seem to just end in midair. It is incredible. I don't know how many times you would have been on this campus.
Yeah.
Probably
Alex
a few.
was here, we were a little distant, so probably only once or twice I've been in there.
Yeah, and there's definitely a lot of interesting characters. Generally, when you're walking around the street, you might see an elf, a halfling, a dwarf. Here, there are dragonborns, there are tieflings, there are dwarves, halflings, it is the most diverse you have ever seen. People also from faraway lands, you see the very obvious telltale signs of Egyptians and Indrans and Nipponese and Rusin and all kinds of other people walking around. And they're casting spells and cantrips. You see there are even people that are just firing beams of random elements just into the air to practice. Big groups of people reading books in like a ring, and kind of pointing and talking. It's very lively, it's very magical. There's always somebody within view using magic. There's also a lot of familiars, various animals, but also animals that you haven't seen before. Tiny dragons, monkeys with wings, pixies, sprites, imps, other weird creatures that you might not have ever seen before, just hanging around with these sorts of students. And you guys stick out like a sore thumb, surprisingly. Even though you have a fairy and a dragonborn with you, you stick out like a sore thumb. There is something about this place that seems to add color to the world around you. So I'm going to let you again describe Alex.
Yeah. So he's a half elf. I think he probably has darker features. I think pretty tan skin, messy brown hair. He's Percy's childhood best friend, cousin. Probably pretty tall also. Pretty skinny also. And yeah, he's kind of unkempt and a little spazzy, I'd like to think.
So you do see that jogging up to you. He's carrying a staff of some kind, not the most expensive staff, but definitely something as he jogs up. And he practically slides and kind of shoulder checks you a little bit. Hey, how's it going?
Yeah,
Oh,
good.
you brought friends.
Yeah, these guys are helping me with, well, you know, the house and all, but you look great in this. I can't believe I barely ever came here when I was up here, but you look amazing. How is studying the School of Illusion going? And we should catch up and, I don't know, have lunch or something.
Oh, it's great. I've gotten all kinds of very interesting classes, mostly theory at the moment, but we're getting our practical labs in. So what brings you here and what's with the friends? I'm Alex, by the way, and he kind of drifts towards whoever's closest to Percy with his hand out. He seems very friendly.
Oh, my pleasure. They call me Lark here.
Oh, wonderful. And he shakes your hand. Little presumptuous. You're not a familiar, are you?
Lark kind of just tilts his head in one direction and
Might as well be.
Well, I'll take that as a no. And you are, and he kind of like glances back and forth between the two of you.
Arthur, offering no hand, he just nods.
I am Rerek.
Well, hello. It is lovely to meet all of you. I'm sure Percy has talked your ear off about me. How about... Oh, Oh, come on. I'm
Regaled
your
them
best friend.
all sorts of tales of the nonsense we got into. Of course, they know everything. Not a single detail was spared.
Well, I'm sure there's a fun tour we could have. Um, Plenty of people to meet, libraries to sit in,
I think
people
Rerek
to
at least
watch.
was interested in seeing what your school has to offer.
I do need to go to what do you call it? It's like I need to go to the library.
Oh, we have a vast library. Trust me, it is countless books. Actually, let's go there now. It'll be nice and quiet.
Noise.
And he turns and kind of walks this way. And he kind of gives a little bit of a guided tour of like pointing to like different buildings or, you know, things like that. And he is a very outgoing, very talkative person. He seems to wave at random people, and you know, there seems to be he seems to have a lot of friends.
So I have a question.
Yes.
I have a history skill.
Uh-huh.
Can I use that here, or do I have to grab a book or something?
Yeah, you can roll it. You can roll me a history check. He's giving you a lot of different information.
I was gonna
kind
wait
of giving you a
until
tour.
I get in the library.
Well, he is taking you directly to the library, but you can give me just a general history check, maybe about the Staphanite if you want to.
Oh well, it was bad. It's a 9.
You've heard of it. There's a lot of magic schools in various places. This is one of the most famous in Gothia. There's possibly others. You probably know a lot more about the various Egyptian academies of magic, seeing as how you attended one and that sort of thing. But everything seems relatively in line with the vague things you know about this place. He does lead you up to the door and he opens it. And inside, it is actually significantly bigger than what you were expecting. The tower itself is rather thin, surprisingly thin. But as you walk in, it's easily quadruple the size. Beautiful tile floor, big staircases that wind up, and you actually see there are students who are just using magic to ascend and descend in the center, flying around. You even see a group of people that seem to be maybe playing around, kind of zipping back and forth around each other, kind of shoving each other and laughing. Once again, just weird magic. And you walk up the stairs and he takes a right and he walks into a gigantic library. This is bigger than any library you've ever seen. And all of you can tell you didn't walk up as high as the castle at the top. And yet there's a room here, as big as it is. Things don't quite line up. And he walks forward and kind of asks, is there any particular book that you were looking for? I know the ins and outs of this library. I spent a lot of time here. Not necessarily reading books, but, you know.
Are there many other activities available in a library?
Well, you know, there's a lot of trouble to get into.
That I believe.
needed a book like a history book describing the past of the Dark House. What you call the Dark House?
The Kritzwald Manor.
Yes,
Yeah.
of the manor.
There's definitely kind of a pause as he's like, any particular reason?
Right, we should go somewhere quiet.
There's plenty of rooms. There's one right over here. Hopefully it's not busy. And he walks to a bookshelf and just pushes the bookshelf, and it seems to just slide inward, and the bookshelf just slides apart, and there is a room in there. Once again, lined with shelves filled with books, a low table with a sort of lantern in the middle. And he's kind of like, come on. And the bookshelf, after you all go in, just kind of slides back, and it's bookshelves all around and up as high as you can see up into the darkness with various ladders. And he sits down and he goes, so what's going on? Something is going on.
Okay, I'm gonna preface this with just try to keep an open mind. Try to stay positive about it, I guess. Just okay. So the house, our house, I was doing I was out at Gravesend, working, and I got a letter that said the house is being passed on to me as the rightful owner. And I accepted it.
Why?
Come on. I just, I had to get out of Gravesend. I had to leave. It was a nightmare. I wrote to you about how awful it was. It was.
Yes, but that doesn't mean you just accept one of the most haunted houses in the world.
I don't know that it's haunted. It might
It's
not
definitely
be
haunted. Come
Okay,
on, it's definitely haunted.
but it's.
And he kind of,
to get
Speaking
out of
of
there.
haunted,
he slaps the desk,
besides-
and you see a tile on the desk kind of flip over, and he just starts slamming this bell that's appeared, and poofing into existence is an imp. What can I get you? Get me every book on the Kritzwald estate. Yes, and he vanishes, and the tile flips over, and then about 20 books appear, and he just starts passing them to you, Rerek, just like, start reading. Just start reading.
Read.
We don't know that it'll be that bad.
We're going to be here for a minute.
Yes.
Okay.
I believe we are.
I had to take it, okay? I was stuck. My life was over. This was the only way to change things, to come back here. You being out there was miserable. I was alone. I had Lark, but I was stuck. I couldn't change anything. All this, you saw how horrible St. Hypatia's and the rest of these places are. They're awful. They're monstrous, and something needs to be done about it. I can't just be sent away.
So your solution, instead of, some of the solutions that I've provided, protesting, little bit of civil disobedience.
I tried civil disobedience.
No,
I tried talking. That
you just accept a
devil of
haunted
a man
house.
in charge of the hospital won't listen to anyone.
I agree. I want to punch him square in the face multiple times until, who knows. I agree. I'm on your side until you accepted the haunted house.
Well, I have it now. I didn't know what else to do. I thought I thought it would change things, and it's going to. Things are changing, but I could just use a little bit of support on this right now. I guess it's just a lot to handle.
Well, it's a lot to handle on my end as well, it seems. Does anybody else need any more books on anything?
I think we probably have enough books to cover the next few years of our lives.
Yeah, we most certainly do.
Is it okay to check these books out so we don't have to stay in this huge place?
I can check them out for you. I'll go do that and leave you all to figure out what the hell is going on here. And he kind of picks up the books and he walks towards where the door was and the bookshelves separate, and he walks out into the library and the bookshelves close back up and you are left to your own devices.
I think you need to work on your family communication skills.
Yeah, that would be good.
Well, it's been entertaining to say the least.
I'm glad, Arthur, my family's emotional trauma can provide you with some relief.
I'm glad too.
Yes, Rerek, I'm sure you are. I just kept telling myself maybe it wouldn't be so bad, maybe all the legends were just maybe they're more chalked up more than they really should have been.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you've probably cracked open a book and flipped through it, Rerek. Yeah, just glancing over some of the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There's things about weird occult practices, human sacrifice, devil worship. There are very, very frightening images of drawings of the estate with various sorts of things seemingly swirling in clouds and all kinds of other interesting images. There's also talk about unethical experimentation and how Wolfgang Kritzwald had a lab that he would do all kinds of horrible experiments on people in, and the various theories about whether or not the Kritzwalds were cannibals. And there's a lot. You're starting to understand why the family has been reacting the way that it has been. This isn't just a haunted house with a few spooky ghosts. This is a very deep, dark past full of a lot of blood, a lot of horrible morality, and a lot of things that a lot of people would rather forget.
Holy crap.
It's a lot to take in, and this is just surface reading. You do get the sense that some of this might be blown out of proportion because there's a lot of we don't know what's going on, but there's also some stuff that definitely sounds like it's true.
It seems that your family has a darker past than I thought.
Yep, we suck. We suck. What am I doing in my life? How did I get like this? I used to be a good doctor.
All we got to do is go in there and find out.
You seem remarkably chipper about all of this.
Well, it seems predestined that all four of us come together and reveal what the manor is hidden inside.
And I'm not sure whether it's comforting that there's a prophecy about this house and us, whether that's like comforting that it's meant to happen or it's not comforting, as it's supposedly a grand cosmic important thing that someone had to write a prophecy about.
That is what we're trying to find out with all these books.
The books will have the answer, I'm sure.
I mean, or we could just go there and find out.
Yeah.
I think that's the only real way to figure out what's really happening.
I mean, a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B sounds well enough to me.
I pick up a book and I throw it at Lark.
Interestingly, as you toss the book, it sails by Lark as he dodges out of the way. But then it kind of dips and weaves and bobs through the air before laying itself gently back on the table.
Holy shit.
Have a read then. Of course the book is just flying, of course.
Percy, I know you're stressed, but you don't need to be throwing things at people.
You don't get to talk about stress or anything today. You just summon an evil marsh land somewhere. You're on thin ice already.
I'm going to use Druidcraft to make the air around Percy smell like lavender. It's a calming vapor.
And with the lavender.
Aromatherapy.
At this point, the lavender is making me angrier.
And at this point, a book floats off of the shelf, lands on the desk, opens up, and it's a 2-page spread of information on the uses of lavender.
Oh my god. Oh. No, I did not want to learn about lavender. Get it out of here.
Even the pompous library agrees with me. Just breathe it in.
And the book kind of slams shut and begins to float away. And interestingly, you kind of hear a sorry, trying to be helpful, as it floats away.
Percy feels a little bit bad now. He thought it was just like, no, you're doing fine. I'm sorry. I didn't know I was insulting the books.
I think it was the imp.
It's probably the imp.
Right. Percy just kind of sits down and just hangs his head in his hands.
What are we looking for here? Is there anything you guys are hoping to find in these books?
I was hoping that if we find good information here, that we can get through the house faster if we're there. Once we're there.
Not being killed would also be good.
Right. Yeah, it doesn't appear that many people have survived the place.
Yes.
Prior knowledge.
Right. All right. Well, finding anything interesting so far?
Well, I'm waiting for that guy to check out the books.
Well, yeah, okay, I guess that's fair. I'm just a bit impatient.
Interestingly, it is at this point when Alex kind of comes back. All right, they are checked out. You can keep them for a month, but bring them back. Well, the imps will come and fetch them if need be, but
I mean, if we die in the manor.
Well, that's your own fault at that point.
Yes, I suppose it is.
So is there any other books that we can get you? You know, I think your mom is having a croquet luncheon with other medical staff if you wanted to drop by.
No, never. I could not do that.
Mm.
She was always so bad at croquet.
Well, are any
As
of them really good at
entertaining as
croquet?
that sounds.
Okay.
Is he going to be there? The boss.
Oh, yeah. He's the one that
Boss.
organized the thing.
Of course. Why do you bring it up? Do you think it would be smart for me to see them after they ousted me from Darkmoor?
I mean, I wouldn't say totally ousted, but you know.
Right. Do you have any sort of wizardly intuitions on what we could do for the house or anything? You're in college. You have to.
My intuition says don't step a foot in the house. But if you want other things, we do have a robust divination department.
Oh, holy crap.
You'd be interested in this. They're currently constructing the Ocularum. It's like a crystal ball, but better.
What?
Sounds fancy.
It
That's
is.
my thing.
Do you want to go see it, Rerek?
Sure.
Well, I guess it is something to do. It's not up and functioning yet, but they still have some lenses missing. But if you want to see it, they're letting students see. I don't see any issue with it. You still need to tell me about your other adventures. And it's at this point that it would probably be a very good idea to end the episode as you begin to regale the interesting tales of what went on as you walk up other nonsensical flights of stairs towards this mysterious Ocularum. So that will be the end of this week's episode. Join us next week for our episode, and I will also be seeing you all next week. So goodbye and farewell for now.